what would happen or what would you want to do, really focus on if you had 90 days left to live?
Welcome to the Navigating Abundance podcast. Our goal is to encourage you to pursue your total family wealth potential through insightful conversation with experts and thought leaders in their fields. But first, some obligatory disclosures. Navigating Abundance podcasts do not represent investment, legal, or tax advice. Any opinion expressed in Navigating Abundance podcast is solely those of Christopher Tanke and his guests and are based upon information believed to be reliable but not guaranteed. Podcasts are produced for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered an endorsement of the guest or the views that they hold. Information shared may not be appropriate for your personal situation. Consult a qualified advisor for guidance. Investment advisory services are offered through Strategic Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Navigating Abundance is a trademark of Strategic Financial Group, LLC. And now here's your host, Chris Tanke.
Welcome back to Navigating Abundance. My name is Connor Mackey. I'm not Chris Tanke, but Chris Tanke is here. Chris, how are you?
I am doing just lovely. Just got back from several weeks in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it is the thing to do. Very consistent weather this time of year. It's awesome. So
yeah, you chose the right time to go.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
it was negatives up here and what you said 85s down where you were?
Every single day. And we've been going there, I don't know, maybe 12 years now. And out of all the time we've been there, it rained one afternoon for about an hour.
Okay.
Otherwise,
very good.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
So
meanwhile, we got 14 inches of snow and negative temperatures, and you're down enjoying cocktails in Mexico. I love it.
Mojitos. I
love it.
Yeah. So the number one planning tip for total family wealth is make sure you vacation in Mexico in the winter if you're from the Midwest.
Right. Right. So speaking of total family wealth, we were talking earlier today, and we are oftentimes showing this page right here, which will be on the screen as well, which is your total family wealth. What does it consist of? Your ledger wealth, your logistic wealth, and your legacy wealth, which are your financial capital, your functional capital, and your family capital. And we started thinking, what would happen or what would you want to do, really focus on if you had 90 days left to live, right? Which is not enough time to get this done. But what if, right?
A pleasant proposition, right? Pretty negative, kind of dark.
Yeah. Welcome back from Mexico. Right.
Exactly right. Yeah. But, in some ways, and again, we're just trying to put a fresh spin on it, maybe to heighten some focus on it. Almost all of us that are listening to this have longer than 90 days to live, but maybe this can be an encouragement to get some stuff done, to get more serious, be a little more proactive. And it really, in a dark way, knowing how, if you had 90 days to live, that's somewhat of a gift too, because it's amazing how it'll motivate and focus ourselves on what we have to get done. So we thought we'd kind of use this as a tool to prime the pump and to have a conversation. If I only had 90 days to live, what would I focus on?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chris, I don't know about you, but I really work well under a deadline. So if I had 90 days, I knew it was going to be 90 days. I think it would actually be pretty helpful. But as you were saying, nobody knows, right, when their last day will be. I know you're a huge fan of rap, but there's a rapper named Logic that says, texting on your way to work and now your brains is on the dash, right?
Oh my.
So avoiding texting while driving. But the thing is, nobody knows when we are going to die. And yet we have these three categories that we think are very important: your logistic, your ledger, and your legacy. And if you had 90 days, I think most people would try and focus on maybe one, maybe two, and really struggle to focus on all three. So what we want to do today is just kind of give broad overview of what we think would be important, the conversations that you should have with your loved ones before those 90 days are up.
Right. And every situation is different. So what we're going to be doing is kind of sharing with you some of the casework, client histories that we have, things that we've learned, and also from our personal lives as well. So again, what we're focusing on here, that might be not as important for you as something else we're not going to cover. We totally get it. But if I had 90 days, right, put it that way, what are some of the things that I would be focusing on? So
that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Because some of these things you might already have done.
Yep.
And so you got to shift your focus, right? So speaking of which, if you had 90 days left to live, what should I do with my ledger wealth? What should I be focusing on?
Yeah, and of course we have this up in front of you here. You can see the different bullet points under your financial capital legacy ledger wealth. Um, I would say that obviously when you talk about possessions and people that are managing those for you, whether it's real estate investments, business enterprises, et cetera, you certainly want to make sure that there's a good working relationship between those who survive you and your professionals in these areas, right? And I think
Right.
it's almost so obvious I don't need to say it, so I'm not going to even continue on that. So that's the first thing.
Right.
If your husband is completely out, he's into your investments, but the real estate has been your baby, and you're the one on the egg timer.
Right.
And he has really very little connection with that. Yikes! You got to change that in a hurry, right?
Right.
So you
Right.
focus on that.
Right. Well, it's important to recognize, right, that while these are ledger items and financial capital, oftentimes there can be an emotional tie to them. So, Chris, you're a business owner, for example.
Mhm.
Your business, for a lot of business owners, can become like a child to them
Sure is.
because they've put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. Who are you going to pass that down to? Are they clear as to who it's going to be passed down to as well?
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little more on logistical wealth here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk about investment portfolio and real estate portfolio and significant collections.
Yeah.
Apart from the obvious, make sure your ducks in a row, you get your appraisals, the beneficiaries know who's managing these things, they understand how it's working because you won't be able to explain it to them, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But let's talk about the emotional part of this, right?
Yeah.
We have clients. I have a client that has significant holdings in DTE, Detroit Edison.
Mm-hmm.
The main reason they have those holdings is because their grandfather told their father never to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's done fine. Would they have done better if they just put it in the S&P 500 over all those years? Yes.
Yeah.
But can you argue with the blessing of a legacy stock, and
Right.
should you not honor it? So let's say you inherit, 100,000 shares of DTE stock, and you're like, well, okay, that was my history. I've got 2-3 generations saying never sell it, but it's a new day. I think I know what I should be doing. Okay, that's fine, but maybe you want to keep 1,000 shares of it as a legacy stock.
Yeah.
Just as a nod and a thank you to the past. It's still a good company, still pays nice dividends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in that respect, investments are more than just monetary. Their legacy. I like that.
Right.
I've got another. Go ahead.
Sometimes it comes down to we have a couple of clients where they own the stock because that's where they worked, right? And so it's the company that provided for their family as well, and they're passing that down. You don't owe the company anything to own their stock, right? And you don't owe that company any loyalty. It's not about owing the company something. It's about owing the legacy before you, and maybe respecting that in a certain way. But as you said, if now's the time to sell, then that's a conversation to have with yourself as well.
Right. But even at that, there are some values that go beyond what's the best financial decision if you inherited a legacy stock.
Right.
And those things come into play. And I think that, we should more than just nod to that, I think. Another example is when my mother-in-law passed, she gave us an account, and we called that mom's money.
Yeah, mom's money.
And for many years, when we took money out to do something, we figured out how to put money back in. Mm-hmm. Now that makes no sense whatsoever. None.
Right.
It was a gift to us, but we loved calling it mom's money.
Yeah.
And then she meant that to be a blessing to us, and that's just how we did it. Now, full disclosure, we spent through it eventually, but for many years we didn't.
Right.
And we treated it reverentially. Yeah. And again, is there a reason to do that other than emotional, other than thanks, other than familia? No, there is none.
Yeah.
But we did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Thanks is a good word, right? It's the thanking the person that left it for you, but also remembering them, right? And having that memory of them every time that you do spend that cash. This was
Yeah.
purchased by mom's money,
Yeah. And as
even
we've
if they're
said,
not there anymore.
and as we said many a times with navigating abundance, probably the greatest thing you could ever pass on is a heart of gratitude that your kids have.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and that, I guess I never thought of it that way, but that's kind of what we were doing.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Absolutely.
Legacy properties can work that way too, right?
Yeah.
You had
that's
a
what I was
story
gonna
about
say.
that. Yep.
This passes over to properties as well. I come from a family where I don't know much about my family's legacy. We'll talk about that later. But I do know that my grandpa has property. And me and my brother and my dad and now my nephew and someday my son, we go out to this property. We've spent hundreds, thousands of hours on this property, both working on it and hunting and shooting the 22s at stuff and target practice, just enjoying ourselves on this property. I've camped and slept on this property. And it's very important to our family and who we are. And sometimes we do question, where's this property going to go? Who's going to get it? Who's going to hold on to it? Will the person that gets it hold on to it for the next generation, right? This is a concern of ours that we have. And it's not about the acreage, right? It's about the memories that we have there. Some of my best memories with my brother are on this property.
Right.
And we want to preserve that and pass that down to the next generation as well.
Now, I would say to our listeners here, that is, if you love your property, what a blessing it is to have future inheritors like Connor say that he does too. It's possible that you love your property and your kids could care less about it.
Yeah,
this could also be the cottage, the family cottage that while your kids were up to their mid-teens, it was awesome, but since then they haven't gone. Now they have families and they're all over the United States, and you've tried to get people together, and every other year maybe they get together for the 4th of July, but the bottom line is they don't have the heart for it. You do. You might want to have a conversation with them to say, hey, this is why it's important to me, but you know what, if it's not important to you, that's going to be all right.
Yeah.
But these are the emotional conversations you have
right
about your ledger wealth, because now you only have 43 days left. So make sure you get them. You get them on paper. Significant. Go ahead.
Before we move on, Chris, how's that work then? If somebody does love the property and they know that they're going to be the one to inherit it, and say it's 200 acres in the middle of the woods, right? It's hunting property, but grandma and grandpa are worth $30 million because they have businesses and assets. How's that work when you're divvying up these different assets?
Yeah, you have to have these conversations. I have a similar situation. It's 130 acres, not 200, hunting properties, a couple of them next to each other. I've got a son-in-law with grandsons that love it. I've got a son with no children yet. He's just not into it at all.
Yeah.
We've already had conversations, and he's saying, I understand that that's going to go right to Christopher.
Yeah.
And I said, I understand, and we'll true you up with something else.
Right.
Or put it this way, it's part of the estate, and the way we're written up is that Christopher has the first right of refusal on it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then then you don't have to keep track of what each thing is worth. It does, and they can divide it up at that point. So
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Really
so
important.
I imagine even appraisals can be an important part of that, to make sure that at the end of everything, it's equal, if that's what you're going for, at least.
Right. That's right. And by the way, that's very difficult to do. But
yes.
So don't beat yourself up too much over that one.
Right.
But
Right.
Significant collections, right? The emotional side of this, I would say, first of all, if you have any buried treasure, so you've got $500,000 of gold somewhere, you're doing that thing. That's fine. Make sure people know about it.
Right.
It's now to tell somebody else beside your wife where it is.
Right.
Because now you only have 38 days left, so it's okay. But somebody's got to know, right?
Right.
There's a lot of money in the ground.
Otherwise, somebody goes and sells everything they have to buy that field, and your kids miss out.
There's a lot of crypto that is left. Yeah. It's lost for that very reason. So, but the other thing is that not everybody's going to love what you love, right?
Right.
I love have collected antique clocks, really really neat. Which have become all but worthless now. My dad, Lionel trains, all but worthless now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your children are going to have different interests than you. So one of the things that you might want to have conversation about is, okay, what do you guys want? What's important to you?
Yeah.
My daughter, for many years now, has laid claim to some of my stuff, saying, when Dad's gone, that's mine. We could call it putting sticky notes under it.
Right.
One is my Bible that I used to preach out of, old tattered thing with notes in it, etc. Steffi said, I want that. I have given my son some nice watches that actually my father had, and I enjoyed, and I wanted to see him have it now. I've already started to inherit some of those down, but he'll get the rest of the watch collection because that's important to him. He doesn't care really about anything else. My wife, when relatives passed, et cetera, what she wanted to do is she wanted to have great grandparents, parents' wedding rings.
Yeah.
That's what's important to her.
Yeah.
And when her mom passed many years ago now, all the jewelry, all the possession, I mean, she wanted the wedding rings. Yeah. So have those conversations, because that's really your kid's spirit, your kid's roots. And just because you think that they want the antique clock doesn't mean that they want the antique clock.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you have to be honest about that and say, what do you guys really want? What's going to matter to you?
Yeah, and in some ways, say they do get the antique clock and it's not what they want. Now they're sitting there saying, what do I do with this thing? If I get rid of it, the family's going to be upset. If I hold on to it, I'm going to be upset. There's no situation where everybody is pleased. You talk about your Bible and passing that down. I have my grandpa's Bible in my office here, and I have a picture of him when he first joined the Navy holding that very Bible.
Oh, there you go.
And, he was going to be the reason why I keep it around is, one, it reminds me of him, but he wanted to be a Baptist preacher, but he ended up falling in love with a Catholic girl. And so it didn't work out. No. And so I have that, and it's a reminder of our legacy that whether if he hadn't fallen in love with that Catholic girl, I wouldn't be here today, right? It did eventually call him away from the ministry, but it's a good reminder of where I come from, and it's the only inheritance I have from him, but it's sufficient. It really is. Yeah. Okay, well, hey, say you had 90 days to live still, or maybe we're getting a little bit closer.
34 now.
Yeah, 34. Logistic wealth. What is there that we should be focusing on in logistic wealth?
Well, very similar to your ledger wealth. Obviously, if you have advisory team, CPA, business advisors, family concierges, et cetera, attorneys, obviously you need to be connecting with them and refreshing what you've developed, and make sure that your loved ones, your beneficiaries, try as much as they can to understand what you developed, or at least have a somewhat of a relationship with these folks that they'll be leaning on after you're gone. Wills and trusts, the obvious thing. You want to make sure they're fresh, and they can get stale in a hurry. Life changes, kids remarry, your children remarry. Is that reflected in how you want assets spread from the trust? Are there prenups or non-prenups? These sorts of things. I mean, we can go on and on, but that's a no-brainer that you would connect with counsel on that to make sure that your wishes, which might have even changed in the last 6 months, and of course that's there's many movies that talk about deathbed wills and all that kind of. That's kind of what we're talking about, I guess. But we'd like to be a little more studied with it. But it certainly is a valuable thing to be focusing on.
One of the things about life is that no matter how much you try to make something simple, it's going to become complex over time. And we see this with clients all the time. They come into the office, they want a simple retirement, and we can help them get to that point where they have a simple retirement, but it's usually a complex thing to get there. I think ideally what you could try to do for your benefactors is try and make this as simple as possible. So what is that one person? Who's that one person that they should go to for this item? Who's that one person they should go to for this item? How do you make that as simple as possible? Because realistically, a lot of these conversations that we're talking about here, getting into the emotional side of things, and then also understanding where things are supposed to go. It all sounds simple, but it's very difficult. It's not easy, right?
Mhm.
So that's what comes to mind to me, is making sure that people understand who they should go to. And if you
Right.
can get it down to one person per item, at least, I think you're well off.
Yeah, it'd be great. And some of you have a family office, or you have a family consigliere who basically is like the quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
that knows, here's the 18 different professional relationships that you guys have, and I'll make sure that they're in the loop of what's going on here, or whatever. But
Right.
depending how complicated it is, the point is relationships, communication. You've got to get on that for sure. Business succession or business purchases, sales. Another big thing, if you're a business owner, this is probably one of the more complicated things you have in the area of logistic wealth. And if now we have 28 days, it's going to be very difficult to get this fixed. It just is.
Yeah.
So the good news is much more. Most of us have more than 90 days, so that's great. But for us, the things that we've seen, we're pretty close to a case now in which a family business was to be sold to the kids, and for several years, I was like raising the flag, saying, what's the buy-sell agreement? What's your succession plan? How are you going to handle partnerships? What are we going to do? And some progress was made, but you could lead a horse to water. Not enough was made, and with just a few days left, the business owner who's on morphine is trying to sign stuff, and still there's much to do now that he has passed, and the widow is now taking that on. I would just suggest that that's a pretty lousy thing to do to your wife.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say it and look at you and say that.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Come on. Let's be proactive. And, if the boys, I don't know that I want to do it that way, we'll say, okay, that's fine. You've got 60 days to decide.
Right.
Because I only have 90 days to live.
Right.
And if you don't want it, I'm selling it to somebody else.
Right.
I want you to have it, but I'm not going to do this to the rest of the siblings and my wife. Let's get this thing solved. No more dragging your feet. I don't know, whatever. You got to tough love this.
You do.
You do.
This is one of those things where when somebody does pass, it's already extremely difficult. We don't want to add any more burden to the situation by having conversations up until the last moment. So we say 90 days left to do. What should you do? Really, this should be done in the first 30, 60 days if that was the case. There should be a sense of urgency so that it's not left for the very end and you don't get it done. And now there's another burden on top of people who are already in pain.
Yeah, and the longer the decision is put off, the worse of the quality of that decision it'll be.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's especially true for people that inherit with a lot of stuff to clean up. So, you've been a successful business owner. You've done a great job. And again, none of us are perfect. I don't mean to pile on you too much, but if you don't solve for this, you've really blown it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prepare to hand it off. That's a great legacy under logistic wealth. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Legacy wealth. This is our bread and butter, right?
Especially since we only have 20 days. 20 days left.
Yeah, now there's 20 days.
Okay.
But let's say there is 90 days, but really there is 20 days. What is the legacy wealth focus? What are the things that you say to people, this is what you need to get done?
Well, again, all of these categories really are all about people. But this one, of course, is specific. We call it your family capital, your family riches. And if we can, I don't know where we are with the total family wealth illustration. We can throw it up again here. But you can see in legacy wealth, there are 5 different bullets. There are certainly more. These are all expansive. Family relationships, family ethos, and family wellness is what I want to talk about. Family relationships, very simple. I would just say you got to get it said. When you're pushing up daisies, it's hard to say it.
Right.
You can write a letter, and that's not a bad idea either to be read, and to be sent. But But here's your opportunity, toe to toe, face to face,
Yeah.
to say what needs to be said. Even if it's not the easiest thing to say. Even if it's an apology. Even
Right.
it's hey, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you, but I'm concerned about this. I have
Yeah.
to say it because I love you. I want to
Mhm.
do anything I can to help you work through this. Whatever it is, uh, you know, again, the egg timer is ticking. When it goes off, it's basically going to be too late to say it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I would say don't leave it up to interpretation, right? Don't leave it up to your descendants to be questioning, okay, they said this one time years ago, and I never asked them about it again. And now I don't know actually what mom, dad, grandma, grandpa thought about these specific things. Don't leave it
Right.
up to interpretation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, you could accomplish a lot of this. I'm going to take this back now. I guess you can accomplish some of this from the grave in writing. You
Yeah.
could be thinking about you write a letter to each one of your kids, and
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the funeral have somebody pass it out.
Yeah.
That's fine too, but I think that there are many things that can only be said face to face, toe to toe, nose to nose, and
Right.
I encourage you to do that. Tim McGraw's famous song "Live Like You Were Dying."
Love it.
And the chorus is so we only had a small amount of time to live, and there was the idea, and so he made the most of his time. He did it in two ways. um, he did it kind of like in a fill your bucket list up way, and then he
Mm-hmm.
did it in a legacy way. So the chorus goes, I went skydiving, Rocky Mountain climbing, and spent 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. For some reason, that was a bucket list for him. I don't understand
Yeah.
that. That's fine.
Yeah.
To each his own. So it basically said, I gotta get my bucket list filled up. But then he switches and said, and I loved deeper. I
Mm-hmm.
spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness that I've been denying. I hope
Yeah.
someday you get the chance to live like you were dying. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of morbid, but there's a good lesson in that. And that's really what we're trying to stroke too, especially with the family relationship things. If it needs to be said, say it. Say it. And we're going to
Yeah.
talk about family wellness. It's similar to this in a second. So
Yeah. So, I'm from the country. I'm from a little town in Michigan, and now I live in an even smaller town in Michigan. So I love country lyrics, especially this song. I don't see it as morbid. I see it as inspiring, saying,
right.
even right now, we're talking about what if you had 90 days? But really, the point of this is to say nobody knows. Nobody knows when that time is going to be. These are things that we should be pursuing right now and not
Yep.
wasting our time.
Yep.
Every single minute we get closer and closer to that edge, if you will. Uh, and so we should be spending our time wisely. Let's live every day as if we're going to die. Carpe diem. Let's
Exactly
seize the
right.
day.
That's exactly right. Family ethos, your family spirit, because now we have only 18 days left.
Right.
The family spirit is just getting some pride in your family, to know their roots, to have an appreciation for the sacrifices and the work
Yeah.
that was done to get them where they are. Because again, when you have Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4 that have an appreciation of that, it's amazing how much wiser they are, how they have much clearer values,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. How do you pass this along? Hopefully you have been doing it all along, but we only have 18 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
There
Got some
are
ideas?
incredible resources out there. Family ethos, especially the story of where your family comes from.
Yep.
I'll be honest, a lot of kids when they're young probably aren't going to care about it too much. It's when they get older and they become more sentimental. I'm in my 20s. I do care about it now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know my own family's history. I know that my great-grandparents came over from Finland to escape poverty. That's all I know. And then they moved to Ravenna, Michigan to buy a farm. I wish I did know more, but when I was younger, I didn't care. Right. And so there's great tools out there. There are tools out there where you can essentially get a form that you fill in the blanks, and they ask you all these questions about your story, and they'll write a little book for you. That's one way to do it. You give that to a kid, maybe they're not going to care right now, but you tell them, hold on to it. Don't ever get rid of it. Put it in a box somewhere if you have to, and someday they're going to come back to it.
They very well may. And so, so you might want to say, hey, I've got a great opportunity to arrange all these old photographs in a way that tells the story, and I can like document, and this is what happened here, and this is what this person, this is what this picture is taken where, et cetera, et cetera. And they might not care when they're 30. It doesn't matter. You handed it off to them at 50, they might care a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what you can do. And that's something that that is a fine project, right?
Yeah.
As you're waiting for the inevitable.
Yeah. And if you have a exactly. You're counting down the minutes. And now we're getting closer and closer. And especially if you do have a kid that cares greatly, this would be a tremendous gift to them to have them help you put it together.
Yeah, exactly right. And you might find some that are really going to light into it right now.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. So, but it's important. Your family history is important, and they're so readily lost. So, hey, keep it going. Let them know who your mom and dad were. Yeah. And keep it going. It's very important to have roots. Family wellness. This is, making sure everybody is becomes who they want to be. And so obviously you can maybe set up some accounts for kids to go through college if you haven't put that together or whatever. I mean, you can go on and on about this. But I want to talk a little bit about something that's really touchy-feely. This is very Old Testament, by the way. Mm-hmm. But there are many examples in the Old Testament where the patriarch, which is who you are in this situation, would impart a blessing upon their children, and would do so by making pronouncements, making a big deal of it, having conversations, and often solidifying it with something tangible. So again, now you have 12 days left, and you're having a blessing conversation with your daughter to where you can say some incredibly cool things to her, and to wish for her that this will happen and this would happen, and speak into her life, and let her know you're sorry you're not going to be here to see it all happening, but you know that it will.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, give her great grandmother's brooch or something, who is who she reminds you of with the spirit. And girl, go get it done. This is my blessing for you. And do that for every one of your children and grandchildren. Try to put some tangible thing to it as well. Give them something, a picture, a ring, a watch, whatever, or some family heirloom to connect to the blessing. And they will not forget that. They will not ever forget that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a legacy gift.
That is
a
pivotal.
Blessing.
Sometimes we get the idea that these heirlooms, let's think of a really nice watch. And it doesn't have to be a nice watch. I said I have my grandpa's Bible. I technically have one of his Timexes as well.
Yeah, right.
But let's just say it is a watch. It's not something you have to wait until after you're passed to give to them. You can give it to them and say, hey, this is tied to a story now, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
and then every time that they put it on their wrist or whatever it is, it's going to remind them of that story.
Yep. Stephanie has a very cheap Lionel train watch. My dad collected Lionel train, and the Lionel train goes around the outside of it. Cheap thing. That is far more precious to her to have that watch than if she had a Philippe Patek watch. Far more valuable to her. And that's the kind of things that we're talking about. So, you've got 90 days. I know you've done a lot of this already. Even if there's some regrets that I've got to catch up with some of this, it is a blessing to know that the egg timer is going to go off when it's going to go off. So get after some of these things that you can do it. And really more appropriately, this is tongue-in-cheek. So you should be focusing on some of these things now, even if you have more than 90 days, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, 90 days is... I mean, you can get a lot done in 90 days, especially if you're motivated by a deadline. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these conversations need to start sooner.
Yep. Amen.
Yeah.
Great. We were just wanted to let you know, folks, that we're putting together some tools, as we had promised to do, to kind of assist you in your total family wealth. And one of these things that we're putting together, and we're like halfway through, so I think we're 2 or 3 weeks away. And you can check back on the website. It's called My Estate Essential File, My Estate Essential File, which basically is going to kind of codify, like a checklist, so to speak, of a lot of things that we've been talking about here. Whether you have 200 million or 2 million, you could use this to kind of make sure that I'm covering all my bases. And then when your children, like, open up your documents and see something that says my estate essential file, that'll be a roadmap for them to understand some of this too, and where they can find these things, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that'll be a really useful tool. But watch for that. That should be a couple of weeks from now. Don't you think, Connor, will be done?
Yeah, you put a deadline on it.
There you go.
I work well under deadlines. So
it
yes,
has to
absolutely,
happen.
it'll be done. Now it has to happen. Yeah, we talked about doing an episode about it, and really the idea is these are the things that your benefactors need to know. And it's very, very specific. You can put as much work into it as you need to, but you need to have something that they know where to go.
That's right. We did talk about that. Sorry, folks, I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but it's certainly connected to this. But once we get it done, we're going to have an episode on it and share it with you, and talk through how you might be able to use it. But I think that whether we don't care. We just want people to use it, and we know most of you we will never meet, but we think you'll find it valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So, Chris, my final thoughts, just things that I've learned today. One, this is a thing of urgency. This needs to happen quickly. 90 days probably isn't enough. So if you have more than 90 days, now is the time to start, which is something that we are constantly repeating on here. Second, this is actually very emotional too. It's not just about having the right documents in the right places with the right people. It's about them understanding why these things are important to you, why these people are important, why these properties are important. And then third, we talked a little bit about how the conversations should start, right? That these are things that you should start right now, sit down, make sure they understand the purpose behind all of this. Anything else to add?
No, the best time to start is today. And, pick out the easiest one and make some progress and get going on it. But again, this navigating abundance, again, what we're trying to do is to not reinvent the wheel, but we're trying to communicate in such a way so that you can find success in these areas. And there's two things that are necessary. One is information, but the other part that you need is inspiration. You need encouragement to do it. And so this is more along the lines of, I would say, wouldn't you agree, an inspiration type approach, because a lot of what we're saying, you might say, I know that. That's fine. And God love you. I just want to ask you this question, but are you doing it? That's why we're doing it. We're just trying to push and prod. That's our job. We're trying to bring success to your life by inspiration and information. Hopefully you're getting both of these things as you kick the tires of navigating abundance.
That's right.
And keep checking our podcasts. We think they're worthy to listen to, and that you'll get both inspiration and inspiration out of that. Yeah.
And I'll add this as well, because it is my responsibility to do so. If you found this conversation helpful, leave us a comment. Let us know what stood out to you. And of course, if you want to learn more information about navigating abundance, you can go to navigatingabundance.com. And if you're interested in seeing more of these episodes and actually following the channel, it's really helpful to us if you subscribe or follow whatever the platform that you're watching or listening on suggests that you do. That'd be great.
Guys, thanks for listening. Godspeed. And remember, your family is worth it.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Navigating Abundance. If you enjoyed this content and you'd like to see more of it in the future, please consider subscribing. If you'd like to join the conversation, leave a comment below on whatever platform that you're watching on. And if you'd like to learn more about Navigating Abundance, visit us at navigatingabundance.com.